Welcome back to Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
If you can give us a review, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, write a little comment, or just subscribe to us on Spotify, download our episodes. That would help a lot. Thanks for being back with us. We have had a lot of guests on recently. I'm happy to be doing a solo episode, just the two of us, to answer a bunch of questions that you've sent in and just do a general catch up on what we've been up to.
Well, we're exhausted because we've been flying, and flying in itself has been a new experience because the airports are jammed with people. You had a long wait coming down. I didn't have a long wait, but I had a packed plane in the middle of the week coming from New York down to Florida, and I was surprised. I don't know. I guess maybe I forgot that people are all moving around again, which is wonderful.
Have you enjoyed me staying with you for the holidays?
Oh, I think Thanksgiving was fun. Of course, the weather in Florida was terrible. But the weather, I think, all over the country was terrible. There were storms in the Midwest, and there was cold in the Northeast, and the South has been raining. So the perfect winter was last winter as far as the weather. I don't know what happened.
Florida,
Maybe it was all the masks we wore that kept all the germs away. But people are getting sick, and people are coughing, and I see everybody washing their hands constantly with the soap dispensers that are all over the place down in Florida, and as they were in New York as well. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it'll keep some of the germs away from everybody.
Yeah. So now I feel that in the winter, there's less things to do for date night than just go for a restaurant. And it was hard for me, when it's dark so early to even want to leave the house and do anything.
Well, I know. Well, it gets dark. Don't forget we've reversed the time because they still think we're farmers, so we have to get up early. So the farmers can sow their plants, which is so ridiculous, really archaic. But we still do it, so we move the clocks back. I'm getting up every morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock, so I feel like I'm up before the roosters.
That's ridiculous. I can
know
still
it's
sleep
ridiculous.
till like 10:30. I'm not having a problem with that or anything. I just, by the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is go out into the dark cold.
I know it gets dark really early,
Yeah.
but that's what happens.
But you know
in the winter.
what? I feel like I also enjoy my date nights in. I actually cooked the other day.
Oh, what'd you make? Let's hear.
This last time I cooked, honestly, was the last episode we did about cooking this time a year ago on a date.
Right.
And I would say this was disaster part 2.
Why? What happened?
I haven't even told you this.
What happened? Well, now we're divulging it to all our viewers, so let's hear.
Okay, so as you guys might know, I'm not a huge cook. I love food, but I'm more of an order-in type gal. Fine. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be cute and surprise my boyfriend with cooking. He also loves to order in, so it hasn't been an issue. But I was like, okay, I know there's like this good salmon dish that my mom makes, and I'm just going to do that. And it wasn't like such a difficult thing or anything. The food was fine. Last time, the date that I told the food was disgusting that I made. The food was actually fine. And he walked in, I was like, I cooked. He was like, that's so nice. Like, so grateful. And then I was like, I made salmon. And his face just like dropped. And he was like,
because the guy hates fish.
Yeah, but I didn't really realize that.
Well, I think he's a meat and potato guy.
Yeah.
So
he loves meat. But I didn't know that loving meat meant that you didn't like fish.
All right. Okay. Well, so what
so
did you do?
So he ordered in.
Ordered in again. Oh, my God.
No, I mean, I ate what I made and he ordered in, but I just felt so sad about it.
All right. But at least this time the food was good. So you're getting better. You
True.
can invite me over. I would have eaten the other half of the salmon. I love it.
True. So the two of us also just did this wine class where we basically had 3 full days, 9:30 to 5:30, of just learning about different types of wine, the region. If you guys remember, I kind of got into this when I went on the Napa or the California trip earlier this summer that we talked about. And I'm not that into wine, but I think it's a cool thing to know about just for life. It's so hard to know all these regions and stuff. We had to take a standardized test.
I was surprised that actually they didn't zero in on one region, like either the California.
No, because if let's say you're a waiter in a restaurant and you need this certification, you can't only know about one place.
No, I understand that, but wine itself is such a major industry today, and so many regions have wonderful wines. I mean, from Australia to Chile to California to all of Europe. I mean, everybody's got a vineyard someplace, so it's really a giant task. I don't know how you learned it all in four sessions.
Well, I really didn't. I kind of crammed. I haven't studied like that since college. And I barely studied, by the way. But just saying, trying to memorize and sit down and do that, like the work that we do now is just so different.
Well, meanwhile, your grandfather tested you on a bunch of stuff last night while we were eating dinner, and you got all the right answers.
I know the basics.
Well, that's more than enough. That's more than enough. All I know is whether it's smooth or it hurts my throat.
Like
Those are my
acidic or
two.
high alcohol, yeah.
My big thing is really a margarita, so I think they're all smooth when you have a margarita. By the second margarita, you don't know what you're
But
drinking.
you like margaritas?
I love them.
Never seen you drink that.
Well, I don't like to show my children that I'm drinking anything because I usually end up falling asleep halfway through the second
I've seen
one.
you drink a pina colada.
Well, that I love. But it has to be a warm climate to drink
Right.
a pina colada. You have to be basking, you're on a beach chair in some beautiful island or where it's really 80 degrees and the sun is out.
How funny would it be actually if you went on a date in New York City and he got a whiskey and you were like, "Can I have a pina colada?"
I don't even think anybody in New York has a pina colada.
Probably
I think
not.
that's a tropical drink. I
You
think
know what?
They would laugh.
There's this restaurant that is Jamaican.
Oh, well, they would have it then.
It's so fun. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it. But Miss Lily's.
Okay.
It's so fun, and they have pina coladas.
Then we're going.
Yeah.
As soon as I come back to the city I'm going back in 2 weeks. We're going down there for it'll probably be snowing, and I'll be wearing a down coat,
That's
and
so
I'm going to order a
funny.
pina colada.
That's so funny. We
But I definitely
should.
like that with a slice of pineapple. That sounds great.
Obviously now when it's cold out in the city and you might not want to really leave. I was thinking about this because when I was single, I was going on dates a lot, and like forcing yourself to go out in cold weather and do that can kind of like be annoying, but I feel like I would encourage people still to do it. But dating apps are getting weirder and weirder now. Now there's a feature you can upload your voice so people can hear what you sound like on your profile.
Kimmy, I still don't believe in the dating apps. This is something we discuss, and actually a lot of the guests that we've had on, young and old, all don't really like it. They all say the setups are the way to go, because people on dating apps, you really still, you can't convince me about how they're looked into to make sure that they're all on the up and up. Makes me a little nervous, but I know you like them, so
you can cross-reference on every form of social media. Google the person. Make sure you have mutual friends. That's not what I'm worried about. I just think that access is amazing. Like, if you waited to be set up, you would go on one date a year.
Well, maybe that'd be the date you'd get married to.
No, I hate every setup I've ever been on.
Oh, well, you know what? I think you're a little too fussy. But anyway, I think that you have to realize that winter is here. You put on a heavy scarf and a really warm coat and boots, and you go out. There's so much to do now in the city. Broadway is back, and there's no reason. Have you seen Six yet?
No.
That's the show I think to see, really, because it's a rock show about Henry VIII's wives,
Yeah, I
and
know.
the music and the singing is fabulous. And I have to say, the Jasper John show at the Whitney, for
I
those who
saw
haven't
it.
seen it, oh my God, isn't that fabulous?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much really that's happening in the city.
Okay, so one big thing that I want to talk about during this episode is obviously the holidays are coming up.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse. What's the worst?
Well, for a lot of people, it's depressing. They miss loved ones. They also don't have somebody perhaps to celebrate with, or they don't have a partner or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And so it isn't easy for everybody holiday time.
Yeah.
Certainly New Year's is always a dreadful night, even if
Yeah.
you have a partner, because it's always built up
Anticlimactic.
expectations. Yeah, I think it's there's good parts of the holiday, which is family and joyousness and giving to each other. And listen, your brother today went for a pizza, and he saw some unfortunate people that were homeless sitting next to the pizza place, and he bought them 2 extra pies and gave
He
it to them.
did?
Yes, he did. So he did holiday cheer even before the holiday.
That's a mitzvah.
So, I think what we have to learn is how to give to each other in these times, because there's a lot of stress going around. And I think also a lot of people still haven't gotten over the pandemic nerves. They're still nervous. They're gotten a great deal of stress in their lives. And they have to now, hopefully, with a little good music and sort of some pleasant listening to our podcasts, people can unwind a little.
Yeah. And let's talk about, let's say for the holidays, you're going to spend it with your significant other's family.
Okay, this could be tricky.
What are you wearing? What gift are you bringing them?
Let's say you're just going for dinner. I think it would be nice to ask your hosts, could I bring something? Something I'll make, either a bag of cookies, or bring some fresh pears, or a tart, or anything that might be holiday inspired. Or a lot of people love to make cards of all sorts. And that's pretty also for the holidays. People can be very creative. That Michael's craft store is not in business for nothing. People love to create things. And this is the perfect time of year to make that little extra special card or gift for somebody else that doesn't cost a lot and means something when you bring it over. I do think you should come in with something. Don't come in empty-handed to somebody's house. It could even be a jar of olives, or olive oil, or even a bottle of wine. Since basically you took this wine class, so if you liked a bottle of wine that you sipped, I think you could bring that as a gift as well.
Mm-hmm. And then what would you wear to meet them?
What would I wear? Well, I think that's it depends. I think today everybody is very casual. If it had been maybe when I was first meeting my in-laws, I would wear a little dress. We certainly wouldn't have been wearing sweatpants or casual, sloppy shoes and all these Birkin fur-lined little flip-flops that everybody's wearing now. I think that it's still nice if you're going to someone's house for dinner, put on a nice pair of pants and a sweater, or a nice skirt and boots and a casual sweater, or even a pretty dress if you have it. I mean, it depends how dressy the family is. Everybody has rules. Some families are still very formal at holiday times, and some people are not. So you really have to get a feel of that from your significant other.
Yeah. And I feel like you can kind of wear anything, like leather pants and a sweater, or
that's true.
Or a leather skirt and a sweater, or even jeans and a sweater, like if it's casual. But I just always feel like being a little bit on the side of modesty is...
Oh, well, I don't think you should be wearing something cut down to your navel.
Yeah, no
and
cropped.
I don't think a guy should be coming with his shirt unbuttoned to his belt buckle.
Right.
There has to be a little decorum. You are meeting a family. You are with a family. There are probably people from an older generation going to be there as well. And so erring on the side of being a little bit conservative wouldn't be so terrible.
Right. Okay, so let's say you're meeting the parents. It's not the first time. You've met them before. 2 questions. 1, do you have to bring a gift?
I think if somebody invites you for dinner at their home, then I think a small token is always appropriate. It can be whatever it is, a bag of a little box of candy, anything that you go out and get or that you make yourself. You don't have to, make a fuss about it. But I just think it's a nice thing to do. They are asking you over and going out of their way and extending an invitation. And I think you should take a little effort and bring a little gift.
Okay. 2, what if you don't like them? Or do you have any tips on kind of how you can behave?
I think if you don't like your future in-laws, or your present in-laws, or even your relatives, your spouse's relatives, I think over the holidays, you should put on a smile and zip up your mouth. I think it's all about being kind to each other and respecting your partner's family. And, they don't have to be your best friends, but I think everybody has to learn how to coexist.
Let's flip it. If you're the parents and you don't like the person that your child is dating or married to, is it the same rule? You should
Absolutely.
zip it?
You zip your mouth. If they're in a relationship, now we're talking about relationships. We're not talking about just a casual date. Because certainly if somebody's gone out a couple of times and they bring them home, and whether you like them or not, it's probably not going to matter. They probably won't be around in another couple of months.
Well, that's not true. What if it's, a relationship and you've been dating for a year and you bring them home? They could end up being the person you marry.
A year is a long time in anybody's life. That's a different story. Then it's the same thing. You either have to voice your opinions prior to the holiday time to your child or whoever the person is that your relative, and say, I'm not happy with this young man or young woman, but because I love you, we're certainly going to be respectful, and there'll be no controversy during the weekend or the evening that you're together. But I think all those things should be discussed prior to going to somebody's home. You don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, especially around the holiday time. That's not fair. Mm-hmm. And if you are really not liking each other, then don't go. Don't accept the invitation if you can't be polite.
Right. Okay, so do you want to give people some gift ideas to give their person they're dating?
You know what? It depends on what he likes. If I was dating somebody really a long time and I knew he was into sports, maybe I would get him tickets to some game that he might like or enjoy. Or maybe a, what do you call those? T-shirts. Not T-shirts, but they've got the numbers.
Jersey?
The jerseys. Like a giant jersey.
No men wear jerseys.
Oh, I think they do on Sunday when they're hanging around watching football for 8 hours a day.
Maybe. I don't date guys who like football, so I don't know.
Well, you don't have to do that, but I think a lot of girls do date guys that enjoy football on Sunday. I think I don't know. I think any kind of food. All guys.
I don't think a food is enough for a gift.
Well, I don't think it's about the price. I think it's about what you do with what you give. I think if you make somebody a chocolate cake with icing.
I don't know. I always keep a list in my phone for like people that I'm close to or that I'm dating of things that they like, and like then gift ideas. And so then when I'm in this situation, like I know off the top of my head some things that would work, but I still end up being like, oh, it's so hard. There's so much pressure on a gift.
Well, somebody always needs gloves.
That's not true.
Gloves?
I haven't worn gloves since high school.
You don't wear gloves in the freezing cold weather?
No.
Oh, I wear gloves all the time. So, if anybody gives you gloves, you can always give them to me because we have the same hand size.
Okay.
I know my husband loves books, and he loves the James Patterson books. So every year, since James Patterson must have 4,000 different titles, I buy different books that he comes out with, or Tom Clancy comes out with books.
That's cute.
They are always, they're authors that people like, and I think that's always fun because people enjoy them.
Yeah. Or if you're a foodie, I feel like a food tour.
That would be really fun. That Murray's downtown in New York has the best cheese.
Shop.
Oh, I love
that one.
And they do classes there. So that's also fun to give somebody a lesson in how the cheeses pair with the wines, with the olive oil. I mean, all those things are great fun.
Yeah, that is actually cool.
You know what? I think, Kimmy, it's just a thought. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's ever the monetary amount. I think it's the thought you put in, and if you put enough thought in, the gift will be well received.
So, should we get into questions?
That's it. All right, good.
Any advice for someone who's never dated anyone before at all?
Go see a shrink. I think if you've never dated anybody in all the time from being a teenager on, and then you finally, I don't know when they met somebody that they now want to date, I think you have some kind of issues, and you have to think about that and maybe talk to a parent or talk to a close friend and find out why you're hesitating to have a relationship. I don't know.
I would just rip the Band-Aid off and go on a date.
Well, maybe they can't. Some people can't. It reminds me of that Sheldon from
Right. Big Bang.
Exactly. Some people have issues that they just can't have a personal relationship of any sort. So I think that needs to be talked about with somebody who's either a professional or a close family friend. And if it's just from being shy and being young, then eventually you'll grow out of it, and perhaps in your 20s you'll find the right person and you'll want to go out on a date and pursue a relationship.
Yeah. And if you want to go out on a date and you're just nervous about like what will I say or whatever, I think you just like no one's good at something the first time they do things. It's all about practice. So
Correct.
I wouldn't put that high pressure expectation on yourself.
And don't worry about it because the other person is just as nervous.
Yes. Okay. Someone said, I'm raising 2 boys, 14 and 16. What advice do you have for parents trying to raise gentlemen in this day and age?
Well, that all starts at home, and that's a very good question. I think gentlemen and women who have respect for their male counterparts all see it from their families, and if respect is at the home, then the children will see it as well. I still think it's nice to open a car door for a lady if you're going out on a date. I think it's still nice for a woman to say thank you if someone pays for dinner for them. I think basic etiquette still is very important, but you know what? It's raising people today is very difficult because they see so many mixed messages on the screen and on their phones. So try the best you can, and that's all you can do.
Was it easier finding real love back in the day?
Back in what day?
Your
The
day.
prehistoric times. I don't think it's ever easy to find true love. I think people, it was simpler because we didn't have distractions from the phone and perhaps from so many different. We didn't analyze our relationships to the extent that the young people do today because we just didn't think about it, and we also believed in younger marriages and younger relationships. People in their late 20s were considered old maids, or the guys weren't ever going to get married. So it was a very different social norms in the 50s and 60s and certainly 40s. But love is love. And if you're going to find it, you'll find it no matter what generation you're in. And sometimes there's more than one love. You don't have to be in love only once in your life. So don't be sad if a love goes away, and there'll always be another one. Maybe not the same type, but they will definitely come about.
Yes. I've been in love 455 times. So.
Well, I don't know if that's love. I think that's sort of like puppy
Infatuation.
love. No, and it's puppy love. I think when you're in your early
Love has to be requited.
well, or maybe you have to suffer a little before you realize what really love is. But I think it shouldn't be made into something that's so difficult. It really isn't, and nobody is Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. I mean, that I think we're imagining a fantasy. Love is a lot of work, and you have to like the person and then go forward.
Okay. Somebody wrote, "How can I be a happier person?"
Well, they firstly have to look in the mirror and smile a little and not think the weight of the world is all on them. I know plenty of people who were obsessed with clean water, clean air, whether the world was going to come to an end with the advent of the computer. I mean, you know what? We have to lighten up, be a little kind to ourselves. Just, you know what? Go out, have an ice cream cone, look at the sky and the sun and say it's a great day.
Okay. Next, how do you know if you've met the one?
Well, if you've met the one, you should, like we've discussed so many times, you should feel anticipation that you're looking forward to seeing them.
I don't think there's such thing though as the one, as we just said.
Well, I think
there are multiple the ones.
Well, there could be multiple of the ones, but not all at one time. So I think if you're enjoying your relationship with somebody and you really have a deep like and you have a sexual relationship with them that you feel is wonderful and you're willing to build a relationship, that's the one for right now. If that's the one that's going to be forever,
Right.
that's fine.
How do you know it's the one forever is the question.
I think you have to make up your mind that this is it. I'm not going to look any further. This is where I want to be, and I'm going to make a commitment, and it has to be reciprocal. Both people have to want the same thing. If one wants a relationship that's going to be forever and the other wants to go out and see other people or is busy with his career or her career, then it's not going to be the one. So then you're going to have, somebody's going to end up crying. So you have to sort of gauge it. You've got to see if you're all on the same path. And that's difficult. It's not easy, but everybody does it. I mean, it's been happening since Adam met Eve. You make a commitment and you stick with it, and hopefully you've made the right commitment. If you made the wrong commitment, you get divorced.
My daughter's 27 and a nurse. She's smart, funny, and beautiful, but she's very picky. What advice would you give her?
Well, I think she sounds great. Everybody is picky. Everybody wants... what I was just saying, and another question that was asked, everybody wants perfection. But I think what happens is, if she's 27, she's certainly grown up a little. She's seen some pretty scary things, I'm sure, being a nurse in recent days. And I think you have to realize, what? I want happiness. I want a life of my own. I want to do what perhaps I want to have a family. Let me look for somebody who wants the same things. I think a lot of it is wanting the same things in life. If you're not at the same place at the same time, you'll never be happy. And the truth is, it could be the most wonderful person in the world, but if you're not really, if your stars are not aligned, it just won't happen. So look for somebody who's really looking for the same things as you are, and you have to be a little realistic. It's not all fairy tales. The people who have the best relationships are very, very down to earth. They're not seeking fantasies.
Okay, next question. What do you think of a 13-year age gap?
Between a man and a woman? Is the man older? Younger?
I don't know.
I really don't think age matters. Unless you're 12 years old. But if somebody's a consenting adult and they're over 21, if somebody wants to go out with an older person, fine. I think that it really doesn't matter because some people who are older act younger. And some people who are young are very mature. I think it all depends where you are in your life.
But what if it's a 25-year age gap, then I feel like there's...
Well, that I don't think is good when you're young. I think that's much too much of an age gap. If you're over 50 and you're going out with a 75-year-old, you know what? That's all right. You're not having children anyway. I think a lot has to do where you are in where you are in your relationship. If you're just starting out and you're in your 20s and there's a big age gap, that has to be thought about because for children or for a future family of any sort, you have to get that all out to see what you both want. But age is only a number. So don't worry about it too much.
Grandma, advice is gold. I'm a 33-year-old anesthesiologist. How many dates before I should sleep with a man?
Well, firstly, you're 33. So I guess this is not your first time of having sex with somebody, and you're certainly bright. So you'll know if you, to me, it would never be the first night to sleep with somebody. I would have to know somebody for a few dates or whatever before I would go to bed with somebody. But you know what? If you have a mad, fabulous crush on somebody and he says, let's hook up, I guess you could do it. You're an adult. You're not a child. So I have complete confidence in your ability to make the right decision.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right or a wrong, except for I feel like not date one. Okay, we have a bunch more, but we will answer those on our next episode.
Kim, that was a great sequence. I thought it was fun, and we're always here to answer any questions. And, of course, we're not psychiatrists, so take all our advice with a grain of salt.
Yes, thank you guys for writing in your questions. A lot of them came from TikTok, so if you guys want to just comment questions you have for us on any of our videos, we will always get to those. We're going to also answer some of these in TikTok videos as well. Okay, that was a fun solo episode. We have so many fun guests coming up in the next few weeks.
So I hope you join us.